Hello, everybody. Today I am going to be talking along with psychologist Dr. Jennifer Beckett about how environments impact on your well-being, whether it be negatively or positively, and how what's happening within your environment, within your relationships, impacts your autonomic nervous system and your central nervous system and then goes on to affect your immune system. Welcome, Jenny. It is so good to see you. Other than on the beach, I met Jenny a few years ago because she lives here in Orewa in Auckland in New Zealand here, and we've had some fantastic conversations walking along the beach about all these sort of things. Jenny, I want to hear about your research, your book. I'm just going to leave it up to you.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely to just see you at the beach, and I think people that are like-minded tend to bump into each other. Yeah. Well, my research is on borderline personality disorder and complex trauma, and the environment is so important, as you're saying. So, for those of you that maybe don't know some of the symptoms of borderline personality disorder, one of the biggest ones is a fear of abandonment. And so that's at the heart of relationships. If whether that's a real fear or it's a perceived fear of abandonment, that's one of those core BPD traits. And of course, it overlaps into so many other life struggles and trauma. That's one of them. And so, of course, that links into unstable relationships. So, when you fear abandonment, relationships are so important, but they're also so stressful. And if you have your radar out for abandonment, you might see it where it's not there. Or you might be walking on eggshells with someone in one of your relationships or families where they're fearful of abandonment. So you're walking on eggshells, trying not to have them react or overreact to various things.
Jenny, this is just core to what a lot of my clients and myself have experienced. And is it right to say that this causes a hypervigilance and it can keep you operating mainly out of fight, flight, or even freeze?
Absolutely. And fawn, a relationship one as well. Yeah, absolutely. So, to fear that abandonment is huge. And so it turns out to be that your radar's on all the time. And of course, when you're hypervigilant and you're searching for any kind of potential sign of abandonment threat or rejection threat, and that could be a tone, a roll of the eyes, a pause in communication, that can really impact the nervous system because, of course, as you'll know, when you become fearful and you're scanning the environment, you are increasing your levels of cortisol and your muscles are tensing up, ready for that fight, and you're breathing shallowly. And so it all then impacts your immune system and your well-being. And this isn't a one-off thing. So for many people with BPD and complex trauma, that's always firing. So their immune system's always at risk of of it's always got that heightened kind of sensation going. Sometimes you might notice people say to you, well, everything's okay now, but I feel like something bad's going to happen. So sometimes when there's smooth sailing, when you're hypervigilant looking for those signs of rejection or abandonment, that smooth sailing can be the nervous system not being able to regulate. And so that fear that something even worse is going to happen because there's nothing sparring it off at that time.
Jenny, I have a question about this. When this is going on, what are the thought patterns? How do they present in someone? Is it like a limbic system stress loop of ruminating?
Absolutely. Yes. So at first it's the scanning, and then anything that gets picked up on the detector is then linked into the brain and is ruminating again and again. And so very much like trauma, when someone has a traumatic experience, often the brain can't process that into longer term thinking. It sort of gets processed and brought up over and over. And that's why people have, flashbacks and night terrors and all that sort of thing. So this acts in a similar way, where it sticks in the mind and then it goes round and round, and the story adds to it. So if like someone thinks, oh, maybe you're ignoring them and so they're feeling abandoned, then not only are they attuned to that and they've got the cortisol and everything going, but they're also adding their own narrative. Oh, this person's, hates me.
Is that
And
called
then
catastrophizing?
yeah, and we have primary and secondary emotions. So the primary emotion might be that fear or that response to this potential threat of abandonment. But then the secondary emotions, they come up. They're like, well, why does this person do this? So instead of just being fearful and having that cortisol response, you might also add anger, and then you think about it some more, and maybe you add guilt, and it's a whole mixture of secondary emotions. So it's a real, it's a real.
Sounds like a real casserole for a
Mm,
bit of an escalation and a little bit of an explosive type of communication. Is this what can happen within this?
yeah, and of course a feeling like fear, and then sadness if you think someone's rejecting you, that brief feeling, if it's happening all the time, that then expands to a mood, and then it goes into lots of low mood or lots of anxious mood, and all these secondary things can happen.
And so the limiting behaviors that are born from these emotions, like you said, fawning,
Mm.
people pleasing, walking on eggshells, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling um, prophecy in a way, isn't it? Because it keeps it fuels it. Is that
Yeah,
right? Is
it's
that
absolutely right. Yeah.
okay? So I
And
see with clients that I work with and myself. I mean, this was me back before I was sick, that it can be within them, and this is what's happening, but it can also be what's going on with the relationships around them. And this really presents a challenge for people trying to get well, because part of getting well is being able to spend enough time in that branch of your autonomic nervous system, the rest, digest, and you need peace and harmony for that. And I have a lot of clients that have, significant relationships that it's not so easy just to leave. And so they feel a little bit stuck. So it's always good to find out about resources and books and people out there that can help in these scenarios. And I know when I saw a psychologist, it was invaluable. And it wasn't so much just about talk therapy to start with, it was just having strategies on how to calm myself, starting somatically with my body. I would love to hear about your book because I know it's a fantastic resource group book and program that you're running now. Yeah, so
now I've got a screen on, so I'm not sure if this will come up.
okay.
Can post
Yes, it's
later. Oh,
coming
hey,
up.
oh, it's coming. This is
Beautiful.
my book, Surviving Emotional Storms Journey to the Lighthouse. And it's a 12-month therapeutic journal. So the type of therapy in the journal is dialectic behavioral therapy, and it aims to help with exactly what we're talking about with the relationships, and with especially with BPD and complex trauma, that fear of abandonment. And what you were saying about, how to start things in the body first, that's one of my first chapters, is looking at how to self-regulate through the body. So one of what I think are the most important DBT skills are the tip skills. And so that is when you're feeling really overwhelmed, like 8 out of 10 of distress, whether it's for yourself or someone else that's maybe perceiving this rejection. It's really important to do these tip skills. So the T stands for tipping the temperature. And so often we have like the big gel eye masks, or have people put their face in cold water to really like soothe the nervous system. It tricks the brain. It's that mammalian dive reflex. So it tricks the brain into thinking that you're diving into very deep, cool water. So it brings your thoughts together for just a few minutes so you can think, okay, what next to do?
So it like buys you a bit of time
Buys you a
before
bit of
reacting.
time. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And it's brilliant for people that are really overwhelmed, maybe having panic attacks or self-harming, any sort of overwhelm. And then the other part of the DBT tip skills, it's in the first part of the chapter, is intensive exercise. So sometimes that again buys a little bit of time and helps the body to dissipate some of that cortisol.
Okay.
And
In the scenario with the niche that I work in, intensive exercise may not be an option.
mm,
Would something like focusing on breathing be something else that they could do instead?
absolutely, those are the other two P's. So the first one is
Okay.
paced breathing, it just having a nice slow pace. Often that's the boxed breathing, or it can be the breathing where you would breathe in and just hold your breath and then exhale for a little bit longer than you're breathing in for. So that's another really good one. And then, of course, the progressive muscle relaxation, where we tense and then relax our muscles right through the body.
That's great. And actually, even just doing the shoulder shrug by
Mm,
itself and
yeah.
holding it there and letting it go is being described as a mini meditation by one of the mind body doctors in America. And it's a
Yeah.
really simple thing to do when you haven't got hardly any energy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And another good one, when you don't have energy and maybe can't even get off the bed, it's real low energy day, would be to rub your hands together, really just bringing the warmth and then just putting them over your eyes and just noticing the sensations of the warm hands until they go cold. So many things you can do if you're maybe not in the right stage of being able to do the intensive exercise or other things. There's heaps of other ways.
Fantastic. I love that you start with the body to brain communication because that is, isn't it, the safest way to start,
Absolutely.
specifically for people that have experienced trauma, because we don't want to be rehashing and um, with the wiring in the brain, reinforcing things by going over and talking about trauma. We want to be
Absolutely.
establishing safety.
Absolutely. And there's that old saying, what fires together wires together. So it's absolutely body first and calming the body and then other things to build on top of that. We
So
can't
this
really
is
think our
something
way outside of it, can we?
that's it. Sometimes you just can't. And when your
Mm.
body is, you're not well and your resilience is down, you are coming from the survival part of your brain. And so it's very challenging to be able to have that discipline of thinking, isn't it? And break those limbic system loops. And this, I guess, is something that people could do also, Jenny, when they are trying to regulate themselves when they have been triggered by someone else's chaotic behavior. So
Yes.
it's a two-way street. It's not just for when you feel it. If you're picking up on the energy of someone else and you're wanting to help co-regulate them, you actually have to be regulated yourself. Are you able to talk a little
Absolutely.
bit about co-regulation so people
Absolutely.
understand?
Yeah. And as a psychologist, I have to co-regulate, and as a parent and as a human, I have to co-regulate all the time. So quite often we have people that are in high distress. And so being able to just match that person and slow the breathing down and just connect through calmness rather than talking at people or over them. And maybe you've heard of the Lulu doll for young. They're so beautiful, the Lulu doll for young children.
No, I
Actually,
haven't, but I want to hear about it.
there's a yoga therapist created it. So inside the doll is the heartbeat and calm breathing mimicked of a calm parent to help co-regulate when a little one goes to the other parent or goes to be put down for a nap. And I think there are so many things from that we could learn and do for ourselves as well to
I reckon a
co-regulate.
Lulu doll for adults would
Absolutely, I
be,
would be
yes.
buying one. Yes,
Yes.
yeah. And I mean, we
Wow.
do. We have the weighted blankets, and we have
True.
all those things for ourselves. But there's nothing like that calm heartbeat and the calm breathing of someone else. And I think you only need to be around someone that's not calm to know that your nervous system picks it up. And so that's really, really important. And one of the things with BPD and complex trauma is that often the people are more sensitive to their emotions, so they can perhaps walk into a room and pick up that something's happened, even if they haven't seen it or heard it, they can pick up the feeling. So they're number one, more sensitive. Number two, feel their own emotions more intensely. And then
Yes.
number three, it takes a lot longer to get back down to baseline. So if you're living with someone or have friends that will trigger that, then you may not get to baseline before it's triggered again and again and again and more cortisol again,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that co-regulation and self-regulation is so important, regardless of whether it's you that's struggling or whether it's someone else that you're with that's struggling, that, then it will impact on you.
So what I'm hearing from you is it would be really helpful for someone that is trying to recover and get well and regulate their nervous system to spend as much time as possible with someone that is calm, that they feel safe with, and that they have a lot of trust in.
Absolutely. And that's not always possible for people. And there are a lot of people on their own that just don't have those social connections or those sort of role models. So it can even be reading a book of your favorite character or watching the same program again and again. A lot of people find comfort in watching family sitcoms that they've grown up with, or it's just whether you're hearing soothing sounds of people, or reading repetitive things that make you feel comfortable if you don't have calm people around you to be with.
So does that include creating, if you can, specifically if you're bed bound and you can't,
Mm.
or housebound, that you have a room where you have ornaments or things that have safe associations and associations of joy and good memories and things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, yes. And you could make your own cheerleading squad. So if you think about times when you need a little extra boost and you need to be around good people, you could have you could do it maybe as an art thing or a written thing where you have 4 to 5 people, whether they're characters in a book, people in your family, people that have passed, or anything, those people that believe in you can be there backing you up, saying things. So if you think about like the daisy chains of people, who would they be? And what would they say to kind of boost you when you need it and you're stuck at home?
Would it even be helpful having a friend to send you a written note or a
Mm.
text and you save that and you have like a collection of nice messages that you can go to when you're feeling that way? Would that be?
Absolutely, yes. And phone recordings so that you can listen to them. Yeah, sometimes when I do exposure therapy with people, we do a bit of a script so that we can plan what they're going to do. Let's say they want to eat at a restaurant, and we have their favorite person often will read that script out to them. So it might start with, going to sit up and relax your shoulders and push your feet onto the floor, and then you're going to stand up and get ready and you're doing okay. So it's just that sort of building up
Gentle cheerleading.
listening. Yeah, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like that idea because
Mm,
there are a lot of people out there that are sensory, the overload is so much that they can't even have visitors sometimes. So to be able to even have something that they can just read or a gentle voice that they can tolerate would be really, really helpful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So more about your book and
Okay, yes.
yeah.
Oh, there's lots to say. Well, my book came out of my research, and so I did my PhD research asking people with borderline personality and complex trauma about their experiences. Um, I guess one of the big things historically in medicine is that we have, made some mistakes, right? And if you think about like the word hysteria, that's only come out of our DSM in the 1980. So, like hysterical woman, for example, it comes from the Greek for uterus. The belief was that,
Really?
yeah, the belief if you have a
If you've
hysterical
got a uterus,
condition.
you're a bit hysterical, huh?
Well, yes. So if you have hysteria, which was in the DSM until 1980, the belief originally was that your womb was wandering around, the wandering womb, and it was searching for something. And so the prescription was marriage and children and sex, right? Because it was about settling the uterus. And so that when that came out of the DSM, the same time, borderline personality disorder, which is a high percent of women that have it, was put into the DSM. So
Wow.
my research with people was more about their perspective rather than we know a lot about what other people think. And the old sort of belief was that people with BPD and trauma were treatment resistant. But the stories that I collected working with all these people just showed really brave, courageous people on a massive journey, trying to get help, trying to get some sort of help for what they were suffering from. And I collected their stories. So I did something called a thematic analysis where lots of interviews and lots of people's stories and really listened to what people have said about how and they were searching for help and how often misdiagnosed or often misunderstood. And
Ah,
so that then again kind of intensified things.
so the
And
invalidation.
invalidation was huge. And so they would go and try and seek help again and again in validation, and the risk would grow and grow and grow. Often people wouldn't get diagnosed until something very serious had happened or they'd had a complete physical burnout. And so, yeah, it's a really important topic. And so after all of those interviews, I created Mooj, who's the lady on my girl on my cover.
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh.
That's good. Yeah.
Who this beautiful artist Ruby Jude is has drawn Mooj and he's kindly let me use her. So Mooj is the collected stories of all the people in my research about what it's like. And so she is stuck in the sea of her emotions and she's clinging to her rock as
Ah,
we often do when we feel stuck and drowning in emotions and just don't know what to do.
this
And
is actually something that is very common, and I know it was for
mm,
myself of how people feel with these chronic fatigue illnesses, the invalidation, the raft of emotions that come with it, the change and everything. So they'll be able to really relate to this.
yeah, oh, that's
Yeah.
good. So yeah, just absolutely stuck and invalidated. And then the bottle floats past and there's a map and a compass, and the compass shows how to get to this lighthouse. And so for quite some time, Mooj still stays on her rock because it's terrifying to make a change. And so she continues to stay, and she has to kind of visualize what it might be like for quite some time and practice some different techniques that are in the book before she can let go. And when she does let go, she hops into a PowerShell boat and she sails
It's
off to
New
the
Zealand.
lighthouse. But like with all the people in my research, there's so many things along the way that she has to overcome. And so each month is an obstacle. And then I join the story and teach some DBT skills and some relational skills and some attachment things. And then the reader has a whole month to add their own story. So then they journal, because the act of journaling is very good for the nervous system, and for processing trauma. So each month off she goes on her different adventures. And she struggles with relationships. So she sees a seagull along the way, and they have some attachment stuff going on there, which results in the story as well.
Wow, it sounds really, really helpful, like that there's a lot of tools and strategies within it
Mm.
on how Mooj got to let go of the rock. Are you able to share a few?
Yeah,
Because I
sure.
know that there's a few people out there holding on to a rock at the moment that are
Mm.
resisting, because I think on a recovery journey, often you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and make changes. So I'd
Yeah.
be really interested to hear what some of those strategies might be.
And I think it's really hard if you've already been let down, you've already tried to get help, and things haven't worked out, to then try and let go of the rock again is pretty
That's
terrifying.
right. There's that's a common experience of having tried lots of different modalities and
Mhm.
lots of different types of treatments and things, and have found that they haven't been helpful, and so you lose that confidence that the next thing's going to work.
Absolutely. So Mooch is clinging to her rock, and she has to imagine some things. So one of the things she does is she imagines a film crew. And so the film crew can't see what she's thinking. So she has to describe, and the reader describes in writing what it would look like to the outside observer when you get to the lighthouse. So it's asking the reader to envision in a year's time or more, what might recovery look like for them. They're really, the need to create a strong recovery vision is so important in the beginning. So even that is really hard, because like some people that I've worked with never thought that they would make it to a certain age. And so, it's huge to just even think a year ahead and think things might be different. So she imagined this film crew and what would she be doing. And so in the book she's collecting shells, and she's out in the sun and bits and pieces. But the reader has to think, what would a life worth living be like for them? And so, and starting to imagine that. So if Mooj wanted to be collecting shells, then I would ask her, what is it about that you're interested in? And it might be, okay, it's a feeling of peace and freedom. And so then part of that chapter will be asking the person to bring up those feelings, even though they might not be there yet, to
Ah,
bring them up. Well, bring up the feeling of peace and freedom, and just sit
yeah.
with it for a minute. So they're rehearsing it already happening.
So it's a little bit like faking it till you make it in a way, and
Mm.
visualization.
Visualizing.
And is this a way of creating hope if perhaps someone's feeling hopeless?
It is, yes. And it's also linking values with that hope. So if you have a recovery vision, we can't get through with willpower alone, right?
Not
It's
when
just
we're in
not fair on the
survival mode.
person. No, it's not a fair expectation that anyone could do that. And it's more pressure, and it's more, setting yourselves up for failure when you just have to kind of white knuckle it. And so this is more about what are the values to cultivate that would align with getting to the lighthouse. So if Mooch wants to get to the lighthouse and feel the freedom and the peace, what values, when it's really tough, and it gets tough really quickly in the book because life does. So there's a massive maelstrom and she just about gets sucked down. So, what values will help you get there? And the reader not only writes their values down initially that they're wanting to cultivate, but every single page in the book has a little pearl. And in the pearl, when they're writing their diary, they can write their value that they've chosen for that day or that week, where they've got something coming up, or that they just focus on it. And it doesn't mean they've obtained it, but it's just there as a written reminder, peace or self-love or whatever those values are. And that helps her leave her rock once she's aligned some of those values with the future vision.
It sounds like to me this is sort of like helping Mooj or the person focus on a trajectory that's going to head you in the right direction, but it also could do a little bit of brain retraining and neural rewiring with this as well.
You got it. There's a lot of little sciencey things happening behind the scenes of what's presented in the book. So, for example, the compass that she gets has got six little lights on it, and they are the lights from ACT therapy, which is acceptance and commitment therapy. And so that aligns to deeper values and relationship with self and all sorts of other things. So, on her journey, when she's not acting in alignment with her value, the little light's not on. And so it helps with that is it's always sort of
So it's
little
helping with
things underneath it.
alignment. You're speaking my
Yeah.
language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it sounds like to me too, this book and this uh program really, uh roadmap, I'd even describe it as. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It actually helps a person get a better sense of self.
There's a huge one. Yeah, absolutely. A sense of self and a sense of self in relationship. With traditional DBT, often people will come out of it and they'll have learnt some great skills, but it doesn't go deep enough into attachments and relationships. And so they finish, and this is overseas research as well, they then really struggle to maintain interpersonal relationships and work relationships. And so things can then unfold again.
So
But
behaviors need to change. So the limiting
yeah,
beliefs that are born from outdated beliefs, actually, and perhaps values,
absolutely.
all of that
Yeah,
has to be rehashed so that it's sustainable.
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
believe it really needs to go deeper, and that relationships are the key
yeah.
to everything. Relationships
Jeannie,
with
I
family and
think we're going to
partner.
have to do another interview because we've got to the 40-minute mark already, and
Oh,
I know,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How
And
did that
so
happen?
it's good. We're still, I would love to round this up with one key strategy. I don't want to put you on the spot, but one key strategy that someone could use that is got ME/CFS and they are in a room with a family member who is escalating and they need to put up a boundary to protect their energy. What is a couple of things that they could do in a scenario like that?
Absolutely, yes. I think sometimes you don't even need to say anything to be putting that boundary down. So it could be visualizing a boundary around you. So you might like to visualize, like for me, I might visualize like a cloak or a light, a golden light or something just to kind of protect from that energy because I think it's so important if someone is kicking off around you and you've got a very limited amount of energy, you need to reserve that for yourself in your recovery. That's number one. And so when someone's especially energy vampires, right? When someone's
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
take the energy off you and you do not have it to spare, imagining a cloak around you or a light and just feeling your feet on the floor. So pushing your feet gently into the ground beneath you and noticing what your things around you, like using your five senses, noticing if you're sitting on a chair, what does that feel like? Just doing some calm breathing and really coming into yourself because that's got to come first. It's
Yes.
got to.
And the thing is, it's interesting because the first thing that people might think of is that they need to shut that person up. But it actually
Right.
comes down to doing what you need because often you cannot control
Mm,
someone else's reactions.
absolutely. And you might not be able to shut them up anyway. It might escalate further. So
Yes, you
you
might be
just
putting fuel on the fire.
absolutely. Yeah, just really looking after yourself first. And it's not selfish, it's looking after yourself. And you can only pour from a cup that's full. You can't pour from an empty cup anyway. So it's really good for all relationships just to put yourself first, put that boundary up, even if it's just an internal boundary in your mind. You might take a mental vacation. So DBT have this lovely little skill where you, on purpose, it's not distraction, it's purposeful mental vacation where you might take your mind somewhere for a short while so that you're only half listening, so that you can be looking after yourself. So going to your happy place, but you're putting yourself first is so important.
So you're actually allowed to zone out a little bit.
Zone out, have a mental vacation, stay connected to your body though at the same time by pushing your feet into the floor or just,
To
just
stay
doing some
grounded.
self-nurturing. People don't need to see you do it, but you
Ah,
might just
the
have a
soothing.
way of self-soothing in that moment. So you're validating your own experience, you're validating your body. Yes, I'm distressed. I can feel that person's tension and I'm looking after myself.
Breathe. And they are all cues to your nervous system that you're safe as
Yeah.
well, and will
Yeah.
hopefully keep you out of going into fight flight, just like that person is, because
Hmm.
this is how it operates, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Super well.
Jeannie. This has been really, really helpful. I think we're going to have to do
Great.
another one, I have a feeling. DBT, can you remind the viewers what DBT stands
Yes,
for?
it's dialectic behavioral therapy.
Okay.
And what that is the dialectic between change and acceptance.
Okay. Fantastic. And the name of your book.
Surviving emotional storms. Oh, I won't
Can
cut.
anybody buy this
Journey to the
book?
lighthouse.
And
There's a
where can
few
they
at
get it?
the Estuary, over at Estuary Art Centre. They can contact me on my website, which is bpdtherapy.co.nz.
I'm going to put this underneath this video. And is this possible for overseas people living in other countries to be able to get a copy of your book?
Absolutely, yes, and there's an online program as well. So
Ah,
absolutely,
so
yeah,
there's an online program that anybody can do from anywhere.
there is, yes.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jenny,
you.
and I'll see you down the beach.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.